Okay, I have several
Oh,
things to tell you. Um, don't know where we
welcome
left
back,
off. I know
everyone.
you have another life update. I have questions to ask you, just a random story. And then I felt like you said whenever I last saw you in person, you said you had something to tell me. Maybe I made that up.
Let me check our text.
I know, that's what I did. I was like, maybe it was just the last time we recorded that you had something to tell me.
Right. I don't know. I think it might have been I'm not sure. I feel like I text you a fair amount though. Like next time we do a podcast, we need to do this. Then I
No.
completely.
And then I always forget, but I know I have two things to say. But okay, so this is what episode who knows how many? I don't know the
15?
last 50?
15.
Oh, it's like, oh my gosh.
This was
Exactly.
50.
And
Oh my
we
God.
still
We
like
still don't have a proper intro or outro.
I'm just like anyways, and you're like address the audience of two people. um
Fact.
so we've been doing 15 episodes and Hannah has another new job. Well, I guess we talked I guess we I guess we talked
Last
about
time
it,
we talked, I was contemplating quitting my job and I was actively looking for other things.
but we talked about this job. So it's not like it's like a new one to talk about.
Right, right. I got the job at VU at Veterans United. Um, it didn't exactly go as I had initially planned. I was definitely planning on like accepting the job and then leaving. Company that I will not say the name of because I don't want them to get destroyed. But it definitely came to a head when I was scheduled like 25 hours for the week when I was promised 40. And then one day she was my boss, the owner, was sending me home 5 hours early from a shift because it was so slow. And I said, can we like not do that? Because like I was promised 40 hours and you're barely giving me 25. Like I'm not even getting the hours that I'm promised on the schedule.
Oh my gosh, tell me how you quit. I
And
don't know this story.
well, I was like, okay, then if this is gonna keep happening, we need to have a conversation. I didn't want to like explode because I don't believe in like burning bridges unless you like absolutely have to.
Right.
Because I still she's a very good person.
For sure.
She's our age running a
Right.
business.
That's hard.
Um, she doesn't have a lot of other experience, so you can only blame her so much. And so I was like, we need to have a serious conversation. I was promised this, this, and this. I was promised 40 hours a week, manager's salary, like all these things. You're paying me $10 an hour, scheduling me 25 hours a week, and then not even giving me that. I was getting like realistically like 18 or 19 because I kept getting sent home early.
Hmm.
And the reason I was always sent home early was because my other coworker would drive from Lake of the Ozarks to work there when he had another job at her other location. I'm like, so you need to stop sending Hunter here because she would say, well, I can't send him home early because he drove all that way. I'm like, okay, then just don't put him on the schedule for this location.
Yeah.
And she's
That's
like,
a
that's just not gonna work. Blah, like she was giving me all these excuses. And I said, look, this is what I was promised me. I have worked here for literally a month. I'm like, I'll give her the month to like boost my hours and like get the business up and running. And then because I don't know if it was like I don't know what lies I was telling myself, but I'm like, oh, I'm still technically like in training, like we'll discuss the salary and all of that. And every time I brought it up to her, she would say I was too focused on money and I was a really selfish person for only thinking about
yeah.
money. And I was like, well, positivity and optimism doesn't pay my rent. So I sat down and had that conversation with her, and I'm like, I understand that it's not all about money,
Right.
but I'm eating crackers for dinner. I'm having saltine crackers for dinner. Like, I haven't been able to go grocery shopping in like 2 weeks. So, because like literally all I could pay was my rent. And then like all my money was gone.
Jeez.
And she's like, I understand. So, and she's like, so is this your 2 weeks? And I'm like, oh no, this is it. I'm done. I'm not giving you my 2 weeks fucking anything. Like, are you kidding? If I said, if this is gonna be my 2 weeks, then I need to be guaranteed, like promise the hours you have on the schedule for the next 2 weeks. You have me scheduled 25 hours a week the next 2 weeks. I better be getting every single one of those 25.
she
If you
couldn't
can't
do
promise
that?
that, this is. And I left and never went back.
And she was like, yeah, I can't promise you that. See ya.
She was like, well, Hunter, sorry, Hunter. He annoyed the shit out of me anyway. She's like, well, Hunter's gonna be working with you, and I can't just like tell him to not show, like not come in or send him home early. That's not fair to him. And I'm like, well, it's not fair to me either, because I was promised a lot of things that I don't think you were ever really planning on delivering. And I'm like, every time I mentioned being paid manager's salary, which is what I promised before I accepted the job, you make me feel bad about myself saying I'm too focused on money.
I was gonna say again, we can like make excuses for her being young and like whatever, but like being a leader at any age, you should prioritize like the people under you, I guess, like the people that like you're leading, and she
Right.
obviously made you not feel like she cared, like was prioritizing Hunter for even though he lived further. Like yes, but also that's not like she just never showed like she prioritized you.
It just never, yeah, really felt like she cared about me.
It was like,
He
oh,
was
okay, I'm
always
gonna send you
prioritized above
home, but
me.
here's a other thing we could do instead. It was just like, bye.
Well, right, exactly. I was giving her an out. I was saying, have Hunter work at your other location in Lake of the Ozarks, and I'll take care of this one. He doesn't have to be here. And she's like, that's just not fair. Like, he really likes Columbia and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, I was promised 40 hours a week and a manager's salary. Like, Hunter doesn't have the experience I do. I have 2 college degrees and 4 certificates in food safety and handling. I have a degree in management. I'm here to manage your store, not be paid $10 an hour and getting maybe 20 hours a week.
Yeah, if she doesn't
Sorry,
figure that out, her business is gonna go under soon. Like you just can't run a business like, oh, he likes
yeah,
Columbia. Okay.
yeah.
He could work at
And so
Sonic across the street. Like
exactly. And like when I drive by places like literally Walmart, literally McDonald's that are offering $14-15 an hour, that makes me feel like garbage. That makes me feel like an idiot.
yeah.
And so I'm like, are you like $10 isn't even legal, but the company that this is under has a loophole where it's like you make commission if you sell our product or whatever, but you have to like beg your friends and family to buy product so I can get my paycheck. Absolutely not.
No.
So it was so ridiculous. So I was just like coming home miserable every day. And so I told my parents, I'm like, yeah, next time she sends me home like a few hours early, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably just gonna straight up quit. And they were like, yeah, do it.
Just
Do it.
not show up again. Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you said you start your next job like
I
next.
start Wednesday.
Cool.
Yep, this next Wednesday. So I haven't like gone to work in like a week, and it's really weird.
Oh wow.
Which like I'm like, oh, like I feel so lazy, but at the same time I'm like, hopefully this is like the last time this ever happens, you know?
Right.
Or I might as well enjoy it while I have it.
Right.
So, like I said, to be fair, I still have a job. I still work at Cooper's Ridge on the weekends, but
Yeah.
that's weekends.
Money's
Monday
still
through
coming
Friday,
in.
I've just kind of been like chilling.
Yeah.
Start at VU on Wednesday. They made me a really great offer, so
Yay.
I'm excited.
I'm excited. Well, next time we podcast, you'll get to update us all about how hopefully great
Next
it is.
update. So I left my job at VU. I feel like all of my updates are me getting a job and then promptly leaving the job. Like I'm pretty sure when we started this podcast, I still worked at Beatbox.
Oh,
I've had 3
yeah.
different jobs since then. I
Oh,
left Beatbox, started at Hy-Vee, started at Cooper's Ridge. There's overlap. Left Hy-Vee, went to company that shall not be named. Left company that shall not
I
be named.
almost said it.
Starting at VU. It's just, oh God. Sorry, y'all. I think it's pretty obvious that we don't record super often, but
Right.
like people who are watching these back to back, if ever, they're like, Jesus Christ, this fine, guys. We're good. Oh God.
That's funny. Well,
Such
going off of the topic of work, so this, I keep thinking it was the weekend. So the Chiefs had a game yesterday. So in my mind, yesterday was Sunday and today's Monday. So I keep saying the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But so I just got back from working, I guess Wednesday and Thursday. And long story, like aside from everything else, lots of different stories to be said. But the one I wanted to tell you, not that it's funny, but I was just like thought of you. So basically, long story short, I work in the tailgate suite. So outside in the parking lot, we have like a bunch of little RVs, and
Oh, nice.
we have 13 of them, and a bunch of different companies will like rent it out. I thought it was a few $1,000s. It costs, the starting cost is $25,000 to rent these things out. So the people I interact with, like there's so many different
The trailer?
Mm-hmm.
What?
That's what I was told. I can't fact check that, but that's what I was just told yesterday.
That's wild.
So yeah, I have lots of different stories with like the people, I'm meeting. But
Oh, for sure.
right, but it's also like
everyone is willing to spend that money.
Right. So sometimes it's that, but then sometimes it's just company. So like
Right.
it hasn't ever been Club Car Wash, but I could see them like renting one out and then like all the people that work there inviting them. So it's not always like a bunch of rich, fancy people. Like sometimes it's just like people that work at, Walmart, whatever kind of job, and they get invited to go. Yeah. So like VU, I could totally see VU doing this,
Oh,
and stuff like that. And so then yesterday we were told like, hey, this company, they didn't say what company, but they're like, there's a company that rented out suites 11 through 13. So 3 different suites. There's like 315 people showing up, which is a lot for 3 little suites. And they're
105 per suite. Jesus.
No, for the 3 total.
Right. So that's 105.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, which was a lot. And so they were just kind of like telling us that, whatever. And then come to find out, like they didn't show up until a lot later in the day. And when they did, they would come in like big groups of people. And my job is to like give them a lanyard. And so I'm like just passing out lanyards really fast because there's like groups of 70 people at a time coming in.
Right. Take the lanyard.
But they have specific lanyards for which suite they're going to. And so like the person scanning the ticket would have to tell me. Well, I come to find out suites 11 through 13 are all the same. So I wouldn't be like, oh, are you 11? Are you 12? Are you 13? It didn't matter. So I would just give them one. But I needed to make sure that they weren't suites 1 through 10. And so I would just kind of be like, oh, are you still with all of those people? Like every 15 people, I'd be like, oh, are you still with this group? Okay, like still passing them out. I didn't want to like mix it up and everything.
Yeah.
Well, after about, I would say like 30 minutes of doing this, I come to find out they all look the same. There's a pattern here. I don't need to keep asking. They were all wearing like Iowa State, Iowa Hawkeyes. I could tell, oh, they're all from Iowa. They would all have jeans, boots, like a trucker hat. I'm like, oh, these are farmers. Like you come and
FFA, baby.
Yeah, kind of. But they were like older people, and we're all kind of making jokes like, oh, if you see the farmers, just give them a 11 through 13 lanyard. Like we're all we're like, here come the
plaid button up jeans.
Yes. It was so funny. And like most of them are from Iowa. And so this new girl who was working there yesterday was her first day. She asked one of them, like just making small talk. She's like, oh, are you from Iowa too? And in just the most monotone voice, he was like, no, I'm from Kansas. And I'm like, oh yeah. But it's just like, so we got some like Iowa and Kansas people there was some Nebraska, but they were all farmers. So I'm really hyping up this story, but we were all just kind of like, oh, here come the farmers, like making it, I don't know why it was funny. It's funny. Like, I have nothing against farmers. Like, all my family are farmers. The reason it's funny is because the suite right next to them all have like Cartier or whatever it's called, Gucci bracelets and watches. Like, that's what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
And so here we're like, oh, here come the farmers who just got off
300
their
farmers.
tractor. Like, it was a funny mix.
That's
And
good.
also, okay, I'm getting to the thing I wanted to tell you, but it was just a weird mix. We had that, we had like the rich bougie people in suite one, and then in suite 4 we had literally like famous people. We had Donna Kelsey, which is Travis Kelsey's mom. We had like these YouTubers, just like the NFL commissioner. Like, we had a bunch of famous people because they had this big tailgate thing going on. And so they were in suite 4. In suite 7, okay, this is a story I'll tell you before I get to the end of the farmer story. Just to kind of tell you the vibe. Okay, we got the farmers, we got the bougie people, we got the famous people, and then in one of the suites, we had all these people. They also had like the bougie bracelets on, and they were all coming in, and this guy would come back out of the trailer and be like, oh, they're with me. And we're like, okay, they're fine, like they can go with him, because his name's if anyone said that they were with this name of a person, we would let them in. And so finally I'm like, oh, are you the person? And he was like, yeah. And so, we're making small talk, and the Chiefs were playing the Detroit Lions. And so I'm like, oh, are you from Detroit? And he's like, yeah. He's like, actually, we have a company in Detroit and a company in Kansas City. So this was just like the perfect game to come to. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, having this great conversation. And my coworker goes, oh, so what's your company? And he was just like, cannabis. And we're like, oh, sweet. Like, it's legal. Like, that's fine. But we're like, that explains why all day we had smelt the most like heavy smell of marijuana. But then they were fine. Like, they were
that made you think of me.
No, that didn't. This is just a funny story. That did not.
I was like, do I stink?
No. I just wanted to like tell you the vibe of all these people. But they were all lovely. Like, they were nice. But my boss was getting mad because we didn't know until the end. They had snuck in like all this hard liquor and alcohol, which you can't even bring like a beer into this. They snuck in weed, shrooms, like hard drugs. Like, they were going off, and you're not supposed to do that.
They brought in the psychedelics.
Yeah. So here we have that group, the other bougie people, the famous people, the farmers. And then at the end of the night, I didn't know who the farmer group was with, what company. And then my boss said something like, oh, like we were just kind of talking about all these different groups of people. And then he said something about, oh, the Sin. I go, Syngenta? He's like, yeah, the Syngenta people. I was like, oh, that's who.
Story of my fucking life, man. Oh my God. Anytime anybody hears Syngenta anything, they're like, Hannah.
So I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was Syngenta. I have to tell Hannah.
The only reason my dad wasn't there is because he's in London.
Well, when I heard Syngenta, my first thing was Hannah, and then I was like, wait, is that the competitor that we don't like?
No, Syngenta they're the good guys, and then the competitor was Monsanto. They were bought, and now they're Bayer.
Okay, well, that's what
Monsanto went down because of the Roundup thing. That scandal ate them alive.
That's what I thought, but I was like, oh, Syngenta, that's good. And I was like, wait, is that the competitors we don't like?
That's good.
But yeah, I just thought you would like
Monsanto, to know. You'd be like, ew.
There was 300 of your Iowa Syngenta friends.
There's so many of them. It's like a cult. It's so creepy.
That was the funny part too. Like, again, we had all these different people, so the farmers were just like stood out. But it was also like they were all wearing either Iowa State or like their farmer clothes, and everybody else is wearing Chiefs jerseys and their faces painted red and yellow. Like, everyone was out for Chiefs. So for them to just have like their farm, like, it just stood out funny because everybody else was wearing their like Chiefs. So we're like, oh, here come the farmers. Like, it was just funny.
And I'm surprised they wore like normal clothes because usually whenever it's a Syngenta gathering, my dad is guilty of this too. Every single trip he comes back from, he comes back with some sort of Syngenta branded piece of crap.
Well, that's
There's so
like,
many times there's like quarter zip fleece jackets or like
yeah,
labeled like nice button down starch shirt, and then it'll just have the Syngenta logo sewn
because it has
into
like
it.
a little leaf, right?
It does. It's blue with the little green leaf.
Yep,
And my
yep.
dad has like 50 in there. Like
No,
there is
they
a
they were
wardrobe.
all wearing Syngenta hats because eventually I was like, okay, if you see the little green leaf on the hat, we know they're the group. I was like,
Yeah.
that looks familiar, but it wasn't until someone said it. I was like, oh,
Oh my God. All the Syngenta hats. Like we have
yep.
Syngenta suitcases,
Oh yeah.
shirts, jackets, tumblers. My favorite is when they send the Yeti tumblers. That's
Mhm.
I'm fine because it's the really like really nice like 32-ounce ones
Oh
with
yeah.
a little slider cap. So I'm like, okay, fine. And I end up stealing them. But like, oh
Oh,
my God.
oh yeah, they were wearing their Syngenta hats.
Oh God. Syngenta rocks glasses and wine glasses. That's all of our glassware. I hope you know. If we're ever drinking alcohol, it's out of a Syngenta glass of some kind. Like so much
Oh
stuff.
yeah. See, I knew
And
you would enjoy that.
oh, for sure. They're like, yeah, they're insane. They got a lot of money, and I don't know how they get it.
Like they were great. They were lovely. I'm not making fun of them anyway. It was just so
They're lovely
random.
people. But
But
yeah, they definitely have a look to
they
them.
they did it. We were all
If
just
you've
kind of
ever
like, oh,
seen my father, they have a look to them. Like if my dad ever shows up to anything where he needs to dress remotely nice, he basically dresses like those men. The button down shirt, sometimes it'll have Syngenta written on it, depends on what kind of event it is, either like khaki plant pants or if it's more casual, jeans. Always has to tuck in his shirt. He tucks his shirts into his sweatpants. Like his pajama pants he tucks. like they all dress the same, and he was just in like I remember asking him like what the hell he was in Mexico last week for Syngenta. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm meeting with the guy who runs Nestle." Like Nestle Toll House. I
yeah.
was like, "Why?" He's like, I think they're going to be one of our new clients." I'm like, "Who are you? What's what's wrong with you?" Now he's in London. What the hell is in London? I didn't even ask. And then he's going from there to Zurich, Switzerland. And I'm like, and that's because that's where their headquarters is in Basel. Which
Ah,
I'm like, why is Syngenta's headquarters in Basel, Switzerland?
well, I was telling
That's so
my family this story, and then I was like, and it was Syngenta, and they were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "What? It's like Syngenta." Like I
great
was
question.
thinking, like everybody knew. I'm like, then I was second. I was like, maybe it's not called Syngenta. Maybe I made like maybe it's a different name. Like I was like, I really thought
Oh
that's what it
no,
was called.
it's
I was like, doesn't the whole
that's
world
why
know?
I'm confused as to how they have so much damn money. Like, I would say 3 out of 10 times, if I say Syngenta, people will be like, "Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about." 7 out of 10 times, people are like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Thank you." I still don't even totally know what my dad does.
Yeah, my
He
dad's like,
sorts
"What is
rolls.
that?" I'm like, I don't know, some like ag business. I swore it was like about seeds or
I don't
something.
know.
We went on
If you
that
look up Paul
tour.
Backman Syngenta, you'll find some lecture videos on YouTube. Like Miss Hempen used to use them in class.
I was gonna say when we went on that
Like,
FFA tour to Monsanto or whatever, and all I remember was seeing like a bunch of seeds, and I'm like, okay, they plant seeds. I don't know.
and then we did that thing with the strawberry in the tube. Do you
What?
remember? Was that one?
I don't
Like
remember that.
fermented a strawberry in a glass tube or something. Was that
I
that
had the
trip?
worst memory. I don't remember, but I fully believe you.
Yeah, I can't remember. But I remember that day because every person who saw the name Backman on my name tag knew exactly who I was because they all worked with my dad so much. And I'm like, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, I
They're
remember.
like,
It was like
"Hey,
we were
Paul
like
Backman's daughter, you look just like him." And I'm like,
it was like we were in Lawrence, Kansas, and you just were like, I can't be like we were in the rival state.
I felt really icky being
You're
there.
like,
It's
my dad will shame me.
yeah, like like that I remember somebody mentioning like, "Oh, we need to offer her a job." And I told them I'm like, "No, because my dad would straight up disown me if I accepted a job." I literally think he'd like not love me anymore. This is not true, but he definitely would not talk to me for a long time. Like it's so serious. But now that they're Bayer and not Monsanto, they're like not even a close competitor at all.
Okay.
Ever since they screwed up with the Roundup thing, they haven't been a threat.
Thing.
Roundup was that was bad. It was crazy.
Okay, well, okay. Now I'm gonna switch gears because I'm realizing our time. I don't know when the time expires, but I have some questions that could take a while or just get into. But we're playing this new game, and the questions are so funny, and I thought you would love some of these. You've probably played the game. I don't know. We got a game called OK Genius.
Never heard of them.
Okay, so there's like a bunch of questions, and you go around, and like whoever's the genius for that round, basically you just pick a card, and it's the most random question. It's all in quantity, like a number. But there's no right answer. So if you're the genius, everyone has to write the answer of what they think you would say, and then whoever gets closest gets the point. But again, it's
Okay.
the most random questions. I'll start off with one. Actually, I'll just start off with my favorite. This one, I was
Okay.
like, as soon as I read it, I was like, I have to ask Hannah because I think this could get in such a good conversation. But it's
Okay.
so pretend I'm the genius and I have my
You
answer.
are the genius.
Yes, and you have to answer not your answer, but what you think I would say. It says, okay,
Okay.
we may never know who let the dogs out, but how many dogs were there? Or how many dogs was it? We may never know who let the dogs out, but how many dogs was it? And I knew
Okay,
my
thank you
answer
for mindset.
immediately.
You have to answer immediately?
So I just knew mine. I was like, got it.
Okay.
My family wasn't even close to my answer.
Oh really? Okay, now I'm scared. Um I mean it's gotta be like a fair like a good amount of dogs. For some reason, my mind just jumped to this number, and I know this isn't what you're thinking, but for some reason when you said that, my mind just went 17. So,
That's better than my family was like 5, 2, 3, 4.
no,
My
it's
answer,
clearly an insane amount of dogs. Have you never
yeah,
heard the song?
who let the dogs out immediately? There's 64 dogs running out. Immediately I see them. And if we want to get into it, which dogs? There's 64 and it's like every breed, but there's a German
Oh,
Shepherd
it's like
and a
it's like
Dalmatian.
Noah's Ark.
Yeah, Noah's Ark, every breed, one of every kind, two of every kind. But there's a Dalmatian and a German Shepherd just leading the pack, and they're
Yep,
coming down
absolutely. A
a mountain.
Doberman. Yeah.
Yeah. They're coming down this mountain hill. It's like a chain gate. They open the chain gate. It's like this mountain hill they're running down, and there's 64 dogs running.
You know what that song is actually about, right?
No.
It's about letting ugly girls into the club.
What?
Yeah. It's about the bouncer letting in a group of ugly girls. They're the dogs.
What?
The first time I heard that, I was so sad.
I thought it was
It's
actually
like 16. There were 16. So I don't think there were 64.
There was
That's
64.
64. That's nuts. Oh.
Okay, I have two more. Well, there was one more that was in the game, and then there was one that I've made up like a few months ago, and I can get into really good conversations with people about that one. So we'll come to that at the end. Okay, and we have like 8 minutes. Okay, this one says, and I'll let you be the genius for this one.
Oh, thank
So you come up with your answer, and I'll try to guess. It says, when in a movie theater completely alone, how many movie trailers need to play for you to realize you're being pranked? Don't you love that? Like, I think that's so funny because you think about it and you're like, okay, you're
We
completely.
need to have a game night. Just that game.
Isn't this fun? All
Okay.
of them are so funny. Like, there's so many.
I love
You, I was like, I need to ask Hannah
I
because
love
I
that.
could like
Okay.
just picture you being alone in a movie theater, which sounds creepy as, but it's like how many
Okay.
movie trailers, and I just think it's so like imagine it. You're like 1, 2, 3, like you go through it and you're like, how many would you realize you're
Okay.
being pranked?
Okay. So I
Don't-
really need to be it's probably an embarrassing amount before I really realize.
Let me think. You
Okay.
don't say your answer yet, and I have to guess.
Yep, I have an answer.
But I don't know what you would say. But I'd say like I don't know. Like, see, I start thinking 7, 8. No,
Here,
that's
close your eyes real quick. I'm gonna
okay.
hand signal.
Like,
Okay, you're good.
were you like 1, 2, 3, you're like 4, 5?
I'm gonna watch this back and hate me.
You're like,
I signed the wrong number.
what?
I signed the wrong number. I'm sorry, I counted my fingers wrong.
What?
It's fine. I will explain after you guess and get it right. I'll show you what the fuck I did.
Okay, well, you must have been like 10, 20, 30. I don't know. Because I'm going through it like, okay, 8, that would be kind of normal. 9, I might be like, what's going on? 10, you're like, this is weird. So I'd say like 12. I don't know.
It was 13.
Oh, okay.
Oh
See,
yeah.
what did
I
oh,
did
you just did
was
it backwards?
bitch, that's 20. I've been out of college for like what, 2 months?
13. Hey, I was close though. 12. See,
You were really
the
close.
game-
13 is like, okay, they're screwing with me. Like around 10 is where I'm gonna be like, what?
like you're
What's
like, this is a lot. And then you're
This
like,
is
oh
a
my
suspicious
God.
amount. And then 13, I'm like, I'm out.
You're like, there's not even a movie. I don't like
We're
I don't
playing
think
a
I
game
would
called
ever
OK Genius, and I signed wrong. Sorry, y'all.
what?
I said we're playing a game called OK Genius, and I count wrong.
You're the genius
y'all.
for this one. No,
I'm the
I don't think I would know it's a prank. I would just be like, oh, this movie theater's broken or something.
right. I don't think my mind would ever necessarily come to that conclusion.
Yeah, I would just be like,
Ever.
okay, I'm gonna leave. This is just taking too long. Like, I
I'm
don't
like,
think I
oh,
would ever.
something's broken.
Yeah, I don't think I would think it's a prank. I don't know.
Now, if Eric Estrada and Noah Horton still worked at the movie theater in town, then I'd be like, oh, it's a prank. That's the only scenario.
Aw, that's funny.
Okay, you have one more question?
Yes, so those were the 2 from the game. We need to play this. Maybe I'll have a new question every podcast, you know. But then this is
Yeah.
the one I've made up, and I love asking people it because I'm so passionate about my answer. But where is the
What day
chick?
is October?
What?
What day is October?
Exactly. Where is
The-
the chicken at when he is crossing the road?
What do you mean? Like
Like
when
when someone tells the joke,
like
how did the chicken cross the road? Do you visualize it? And if you do, like
I always pictured like an old western, like kind of almost like desert, like a tumbleweeds rolling across the road
Oh,
with
yeah.
fried chicken,
for sure.
like behind the chicken.
Okay. Mine, that's a good one. Like I for sure I see that. Mine is it's kind of sometimes it changes. I kind of see 2, but like the first one, it's like a busy intersection. Like going both
Oh.
ways, and there's a school bus coming, and he's like crossing the road, and it's like like he's about to get hit. And then there's
Oh.
this other one where it's just like a 1-lane road, and there's nothing, and there's like a little red church at the end of the street, and he's going into like the woods. Like I almost see 2.
So specific. Not the red church.
Like I just see like this like panic chicken that's like running across the road, and then I just see like a kind of like goes into the woods kind of one. And then Sam's answer was like specific too. Like he was at the four-way stop, like by
Oh.
Forum Boulevard, the church we go to, and like the Walgreens. And like that's where he sees it. And like he's always seen it that way since he was a kid. And I'm like, isn't this interesting?
Is
We
he? Oh.
see the chicken crossing the road at a different road.
Yeah. I never thought of like a specific like in Colombia in this very spot. It's always
I
been
didn't-
very like vague to
Mine
me.
too. Mine too. Mine's not any location. It's just like
Right. Yours just has a
there's
red
school
church.
bus coming and there's a red church. And it's not anywhere I've actually seen.
I don't know. I always took it as like, okay, the chicken crossed the road. That's done. Why'd he do it? Like, so I always
Oh.
pictured it as like, okay, so he wasn't concerned about crossing the road. He was very confident. So there's not going to be cars.
Oh,
So
mine
I
is
pictured just like the slowest, deadest road.
mine is
And
like,
whenever you see that, there's a tumbleweed rolling across it. In the
you know,
movies.
I see that too. That's a good one. Yeah.
Wow. What a good game.
Isn't that fun?
I love that, actually.
I knew you would. Like we play this game, I say so often, but like in the week we bought it, we kept playing it, and my whole family, like Sam, we got Jamie and Jack in on it, and we're like,
I love
this is so fun because everyone has such a different answer, and people will be like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, I'm the genius in this scenario. Like 64 is correct. But everyone's like playing like almost apples to apples of like, here's why my answer is better. And I'm like, no, there's not 5 dogs. There's a lot.
My
of-
answer is the correct answer.
yeah.
Get it right. Don't
But
get it twisted.
it can vary by so like someone will say like $1 million, someone will say like $1, and you're like, oh my gosh. Like
I know. That's
so
I love that you can play it like this though. You don't have to be together like in person.
yeah.
Kind of like apples to apples, like you have to be in person.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I know. I'm gonna go get it and like play it with you. It's so fun.
I know we need to just can our next episode just be us playing Okay Genius? I
Yeah.
almost said Okay Jesus. Oh my god. I think leaving college just made me stupider.
Literally,
So
I feel the same way.
I feel I'm so happy to not be there though. Watching everybody go back to school and like not us. I'm like,
I saw people today with backpacks on, and I told Sam, I was like, wait, people go to school?
people
Never.
still do that?
Not me.
It's like we're never the ones ahead of the game. So it's like
I'm on summer break still. It's September. I'm on summer break.
I know. I just keep thinking it's summer break. Like it hadn't really hit and I don't